Right. Okay. Hello, good
Hi,
morning,
Istva.
Alandra. How are you
Good
today?
morning.
Good morning. It's a
I'm
very good
great.
morning, right?
Absolutely.
So, well, not long ago, you and me, we both graduated from the EMF journey, this 6 months transformational program, which I believe it was just amazing, and it's really like it's called transformation, and it's transformed, many of us, and. Yeah, I'm invited you for this call to find out a little bit more about your journey personally, what you went through, and how did it went, and just I just really want to hear apart from that, as we've been together, it's like I've seen you personally transforming, so. But let can you tell us a little bit more about your background? What made you to come to the EMF? How was life before the EMF? If you can start on
Well,
that.
I think it was a journey. Um, I had been on a spiritual journey for a while, and I was expanding. My consciousness was expanding. I was in a better place. I had sort of a wake up call to start my own business and go into that line. But I didn't yet have that confidence. And I'm a very practical person. Whilst I was flourishing from the spiritual perspective of having gone inward, um, I started these business courses, and then you'll hear, if you watch Peter Sage online, he often talks about power versus force. And I had lost myself a little because I was in the state of actually force. Um, it was, I was on this journey and nothing was going to stop me. I was just going to get this business done. And I was looking for that last piece or a piece of the puzzle that was missing for me. Um, I felt disconnected from myself because I had become extremely materialistic, chasing my dreams. I'd had a wake up call where I'm a single woman, and I need to take care of my retirement, and I needed to start asking myself the whys.
Mm.
And of course, I'd been watching Peter online for a little while, and um, he came into alignment into my experience very synchronistically. I didn't even know where I was going to get the finances from to do it because I was on 4 courses at the stage. I
Wow.
think that my brain was probably not even consuming information at that stage when I came across Peter. And I did the 5-day breakthrough challenge. Absolutely amazing. Where he speaks about the financial thermostat. That had taken me to depths of myself and seen patterning and behavior in myself from the financial perspective, and helped me to sort of just get that first inkling of what it was that I was chasing and why I was chasing it. And then, of course, the offer came along to do EMF.
Mm.
Now, I have worked remotely for many years. And having come from what I call corporate, um, I felt a little disconnected, not just from myself, but people. It's not always easy working alone, and you get so absolved into not actually having a social life at all. And then you don't really speak to people one on one at work or interact with people.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, coming back to it, I wanted something practical. And that is where Peter appealed to me. And that's where the EMF appealed to me. I wanted a community that I could feel a part of because I remember one of my ex mentors saying, well, he's still a mentor, saying that success is a lonely journey. and that nobody's ever going to understand it except yourself. You can tell your family about it, you can tell your friends about your milestones, but they're never really going to be able to truly celebrate with you. Because we're conditioned in a society where you have to have the degree or the fancy car or the home. And so your successes are not other people's successes.
It's very true.
They are successes when people can see it tangibly, when they can see the car and see the graduation cap and see you getting a degree, and you have the family and the children, and it's all very conditioned. And then to the world, that is success. But they never see the small steps, that, you know, underneath the iceberg, there's that journey.
Yeah.
And because I had listened to a lot of talks of Peter on YouTube and I'd done the Breakthrough Challenge, I knew it was for me. And I knew that when I'm in flow, the finances will flow either way. And here we are, graduated.
Beautiful.
Feeling amazing, doing amazing, and using the greatness within. And so I wouldn't say that I was depressed before EMF, but I think if EMF did anything for me, you'll hear the phrase 10x being used often in business. That's what EMF did for me personally. A 10x my experience, my journey of self.
That's a huge one, right?
Absolutely.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, I can fully resonate with you, because I although I didn't come from that kind of, you know, corporate background, but yeah, I came from, you know, background of construction as business, and I had business, and is going through all that, even although I was, you know, connecting with people all the time, but I still felt this, like, it's something just not right. You know, I can try all the efforts to putting in, I still not feeling unfulfilled, you know, even if I was doing great. And, like, you know, for me, this success is just, yeah, it wasn't there, you know, as, you know, I wanted, like, chasing this success of, you know, fulfillment, you know, on the track of achievement, like Peter says. It's just, that was, for me, it's like a wake-up call on this. So yeah, it's so beautiful. Another thing I wanted to ask you is, what was the best thing, what you really, you know, you could remember back, and it was like a light bulb during the program, or you could say it's like an aha moment or something. I'm sure it was, because there was many, but if I just ask you, it's, you know, it's what you could think back, and if you would really put that, it's, yeah.
I think for me, it's when it was when we reached the values, the values section. So I mentioned that I'd been doing other courses, and I had been through doing certain value exercises. And some of the value exercises included words like so that and what if. And what I realized when I reached Peter's value practices was that there's no so that or what if. You flow with the bends in the river. Because saying so that I can or what if I don't is already placing limitations on you, and that isn't a value system. When I reached Peter's value system, I took a dip in the course. You know, I was rolling, I was going, and that made me stop and truly question myself. What do I stand for? What am I not willing to stand for? You know, I often hear people, or even myself, I would say, my desire is to do this for humanity. It's a very strong phrase when you really think about it, because if you don't know your own value system, what you stand for, what you don't stand for, how do you culminate that for humanity if you haven't done it for yourself?
Beautiful.
And I had a little bit of it took me a while to understand the way that Peter did the values. I'm getting emotional because it's a very emotional exercise, and it's taking me back there mentally. I had to really ask myself some very deep questions there. In fact, I stopped, and then the next module came about, and I felt like I was behind somehow. And that even triggered me, and it said to me, well, if I'm within my value system, my so-called value system that I thought I was in, why do I feel left behind? You know, I shouldn't feel that way because I'm doing this for me, not for Peter Sage, not for the group, not for my parents, not for anybody other than myself. And if I wanted to talk about humanity, not even for humanity at that stage, because it needed to start with me.
Yes.
And so if there was something that was very special to me, it was coming through that value system. The other thing that I'd like to point out is, I'm not sure how much I can share from the EMF side. But for me, the other highlight was Starbucks.
I love that.
How powerful. The method that Peter uses in the Starbucks method, it was thoroughly enlightening for me. It really helped me to go with the flow by understanding other people in their movies. I've always been attracted to understanding human behavior, but I didn't know how to use it practically for myself when I'm involved or part of that behavior. And that's where Starbucks made a real difference for me. So those were my two highlights.
Thank you. Especially thank you for that. I mean, I love both of what you said, because the value system is just, I think is that's where everything starts to transform, and we start to realize what we've been chasing, what we thought is as values, and reconstructing and making the hierarchy of those values and all the rules behind those values. I mean, that's just something when you start to realize it's and start to putting, and I know where you're coming from when you said it's like you become emotional, because it's really like it is emotional and standing up for for humanity, but humanity starts with me. It's not that like I do it for you. Yes, I will ultimately, but it has to come from me, because if I'm not in one piece with everything, then what can I do? How can I do that? So it is really resonating with me and changed me a lot, how I stand up for myself and why.
If I could add something there, I think that we live in a society now where there's this false positive, and this is just within my perception. Have a positive journey, go positive, everything's positive. And then we see people like Peter, and he's got all this energy, and we want that. But what we don't realize is it's a process, it's consistency, it's a lifelong journey.
Indeed.
And we must go through those shadows if we want to design our lives to be that. Nobody can be happy and positive all day long. It's impossible. We live in a dualistic, polarized earth.
Yes.
It's an earth, it's a school, and the lessons are going to test you, and you're going to get angry. You're going to get angry at yourself, and only when you've made that shift will you truly understand that there's false positives as well. We can't just live in a world of positivity, sunshine and rainbows, fairies, and whatever the case may be.
No,
there is a balance.
Yes,
and I love that from learning from Peter. It brought me, if I'll use simple terms, to the real world.
I love that. Yes, this is the real world, not the dream world, isn't it?
Well, because you can get really confused by a simulation.
Yeah.
Especially when you first discover it. And even when you've discovered it, you can get lost in the power of knowing it. So
Indeed.
if you don't have the balance,
Yeah.
you can really get lost in the power of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And you
know?
cannot even find, it's very hard to find back, because when you're so lost and you don't even know that you lost, you just, it's like Peter says that he's got this metaphor about the fly, is you got the window and the flies keep constantly heading, banging his head against the glass, not knowing that, a few centimeters away there is an open door.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's yeah, it happens, with many of us until we have this wake up call. I was going to ask about what was the hardest thing for you, but I think you already covered that part because
Yes, the values.
the values,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
recognizing that life it's really about the duality, and living that, both sides, and going through the hard bit is what makes us moving forward, and having this journey called life, which includes
yeah.
everything, is being a good
And
actor.
finding the balance is fun. I think I had lost sight of everything. I was on a one-track materialistic journey.
Yeah.
I was working these crazy hours, not sleeping, not really taking care of my health, not eating properly. And
Mm,
what EMF did for me is help me to understand the connection. Suddenly, I found time for my family. And I had actually said to them, "You're not going to see me this year. I'm busy. I'm doing this and I'm doing that." And the EMF brought me right back to center. It made me remember
yeah,
part of who I am.
yeah.
And it was so special to find that balance between the passion and the drive and what's really important
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah, that's absolutely how it is, and this is the most
Yeah.
important thing. It's when you have that, and this is, you mentioned at the very beginning, it's about confidence, and I think in general, and that's what I see for all the students we went through, and having interviews with them, is that all of you, including myself, I wasn't able to do, not even doing this, but it's before, it's just like, for me talking and having this kind of, conversation or organizing interviews, that's, I was just so scared about
On
it.
record.
And yeah, exactly. So it's, but having the confidence and standing up for, like you said beautifully, for our own values, and doing this, for the world, to creating a better world. It's this is what it is for, and this is so beautiful, and going through this journey, and taking people through this journey, and this is my mission, become my mission, and yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing journey. So thank you so much for this interview. And as a last question, how would you, or is there, could it be a question that if I ask you, is who's the kind of person who you recommend this EMF journey for? Is that something that you could frame it somehow?
Sure. I would recommend this journey, first of all, to everyone.
Mm.
I don't think that you need to be at a specific level of consciousness to come into this program. I think it's for those people who are really looking to connect with themselves. And besides connecting with themselves, connecting with a like-minded global community. Because I love the way the EMF is set up. I'm a very private person. I wouldn't really ordinarily share in the past, but having been paired with the body, you make lifelong connections. And even if you don't know everyone in your EMF group, at some stage, you'll make a connection with them. It truly is a system of a lifelong community, a supportive community, but who's always going to question you and challenge you. And you can learn something from everyone.
Yeah.
No matter what they do, you can learn something from them. And imagine doing that in a closed group of about 100 people or less. I can tell you the power in it is absolutely incredible. So I recommend Peter Sage and the EMF program to absolutely anyone. If you are looking to go within the depths of yourself and you're on a forceful journey to get where you're going, the EMF will help you to balance that power and force. Definitely. You won't be sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. That's absolutely amazing. Last question about myself is, how did you find me being a facilitator on these calls, on this, in this group? And yeah, if you could add some words.
I'm going to be very honest here. The
Please.
first time I saw you on camera in the group, it was like a breath. It was like sunshine. That's what it felt like. Sunshine radiating. I think, Isman, you have done an absolutely amazing job facilitating. I think it's really difficult to connect to so many people at such a personal level. And that was the beauty of the program, because there's 100 people more or less, and you seem to have connected with each one of those people. It's not an easy thing to do.
No.
And I so admire that from you, and how you made yourself accessible and available. And I think that this is definitely something for you. And I was highly impressed by the way that you manage and facilitated and always available and going the extra mile. You know, doing those meditations, I didn't really understand that so many people don't actually know how to meditate or the power of meditation. And that was so special for me, bringing that closeness, and just making everyone so close-knit and so free and so open to speak to you. And I think, I just want to say that I think this is the beauty of the EMF.
Yeah.
You'll get so many people selling you programs and so forth, but when you get into them, you don't have that personal connection with the coach, with the facilitators, and we had access to that, and it made all the difference to us. We could arrange to speak to our facilitators at any stage, and they were accessible to us. Yeah. So thank you so much. You are just amazing. Absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isra.
It's made me emotional. Yeah, thank you. And it's so beautiful to hear, because like you said, I'm a kind of person, I'm moving forward, and as I'm moving forward, it's like it's hard to think back where I came from or what I did. And this is also, made me, like, through the program, it's made me realize to looking back, sometimes, and where I came from, and appreciating that where I came from, and like what you just shared with me, it's like, yes, really, I did that. I really did, and I was there, and I was really trying to connect with everyone, and I did connect. I made help, anyone, for available, and there was many times, people was connecting me and asking me questions personally, coming to me, and like, helping here and there, and yeah, I was available for that, and yeah, I wasn't even thinking, like, before you mentioned that, I really did quite a lot. So
I think there's a perception from a large portion of people that when you pay for something, you demand it. They should be accessible to me. I've paid good money for this. But I think what we don't see is the backside of the story. You have a family, you have children, you have a wife, you have your own life going on, and you were still able to balance it, making yourself accessible, facilitating, doing the morning talks, walking out in nature, giving us your ideas of life and the quantum physics. I remember it all. And I thought, wow, this guy, like, where does he get the time? And, I just think that people think when they pay for something, that they demand to get something out of it. And what they just don't see is the backstory. And I saw the backstory, and it's truly admirable. It really is. Thank you, Istvan, for that. Thank you, Peter Sage.
Yeah, he's the man who
And
connected
team.
all of us. So he started it. So we can only blame him on this beautifully.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you so much for this interview. It was really a pleasure for me to going through it with all your stories and hearing you about what you went through and the transformation. And it's truly amazing. And coming from the heart and being authentic here, and it's just something special. Thank you for lighting up my day.
You're most welcome, and likewise, thank you. Please feel free to send me any links. I'm happy to share them on my social